What is up, everyone? This is Matt from Matt's California Fireworks. I want to apologize a bit for the hiatus I have been on these past couple of weeks, but it's kind of how we're getting this video. I had a trip out to Florida for some personal business, and we've also been painting our house, so kind of deep into some projects here. But while I was on the Florida trip, I didn't expect this at all, but we went to a Home Depot to get some stuff for my buddy's garden. Turn left, and sure enough, I see a TNT fireworks thing set up. Now, I think the area that we were in was actually fully legal aerials and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's what it was. But still, this is all safe and sane stuff. So I wanted to kind of compare and see, how much are we actually being ripped off here in California, and what I think this would cost in California. So as you can see, I kind of have a picture of the stand. I didn't take too many photos here, but I tried to get the prices for most of this stuff. So on the top left, what you have there is, I'm pretty sure it's a 20 pack of ground blooms, and those are $5. Now remember, we get 12 ground blooms here for $10. So that already tells you, we're off to a real great start on that one. And you can probably see also above the ground blooms are smoke balls. I don't know how many you get in a pack. I didn't really look at them. But $2, I mean, we're being charged, again, $10 for 12 of them. Now, to the right of that, we have a fountain called Disco Turkey, which is actually Cool Breeze in California, as I believe. $3 per fountain on that. This is actually one that we're not being screwed horribly by, because you get two in California for $8. So only $1 more in California. So this one, not that bad. So moving on over to the right side, you got the standard poppets. These are, at the stand, I can't remember the price for them. I think it was BOGO for $4. Somebody will correct me on that. But, here it's basically the same price as you'd find them at the dollar store. Poppets are one of the things you actually can buy outside of the stands in California. To the right of them, they have the Morning Glory 6-pack. I think these are different in that these have metal handles or something like that. I think that's what the difference is. But they're not the same Morning Glories you get in California, obviously. Unfortunately, can't remember the price on these exactly. But I do know that it was probably like $5 for a pack or something like that, when TNT is charging you $20 for 2 packs. Again, with the forced BOGO, it stinks. Now below those, you have the out-of-state version of the fairy wands, which are called rainbow sticks. These are interesting. There's only 4 in a pack here, as opposed to 5 in California. The rainbow sticks here were $5 a pack. Now, as I said, you do get 4, so, but the fact is we're getting a 5-pack out here for $19. So that tells you a bit. This, the next thing we have on the left here is that super value. It's like a value pack or something. I can't remember the name of it, but I do remember that they were charging $12 for it. And I looked at the fountains, and to be honest with you, they kind of just look like one-tubers from assortments. So they don't sell these by themselves in California. You have to get them out of the assortments. But it's pretty likely to think that if this pack was sold in California, that probably like almost $35 would be the price point for it, judging by the trends here. Like I said, some of the stuff is actually, we're not being too bad on, because of, like I said, the Disco Turkey, we're not doing too bad on. But, to think that $35 is probably what this would be in California for that, and it's literally 3 tubes. Yeah, I mean, even at $12, I wouldn't be buying those. So next up, in the top left here, you can see there's Fish On, which was priced at $12.99, where this was. Fish On is the same thing as largemouth in California, and last I checked, largemouth is $35. I'm pretty sure it's if it's not $34.99 this year, it definitely was $34.99 last year, and it probably went up. I mean, it's not an awful fountain, but I'm not going to be buying it for $35, and I don't think anybody who does their homework has been buying it for $35. But $12.99 for it, that's that's a decent finale. Well, I mean, if you only bought from this store, it would have to be your finale. But that it just tells you. I mean, that's not even 100% increase. That's over 100%. That's closer. I mean, 12. I mean, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say 13. I mean, 13 times 2 is 26. And then you add another 13 on it, and you get to 39. So we're closer to 200% of an increase for California. It's about 160%. And, I have a hard time believing that nonprofits, I mean, I know for a fact that nonprofits only get about 30% of the revenue that TNT, that they get from their sales. And, I mean, California has taxes and stuff in it. Yeah. There's taxes that California has that Florida probably doesn't have. And I guess one other thing I got to take into account here is that TNT, I mean, maybe Home Depot charges them a little bit to set up this thing at the store, but to rent a firework booth location out for a week in California, because yes, they do get charged rent oftentimes for where they put the stand, and but I think the nonprofit has to cover that, to be honest with you, if TNT, or at least TNT splits it with them. I don't know, somebody correct me on that, but I don't think it's adding up to 160 some odd percent that we're seeing on some of these. There's just no chance of it. And I would love just as much as anybody to really see a sum of the true cost of operating one of these fireworks stands. But TNT is obviously not going to provide that, because they don't even give the pricing info publicly until about a week before they sell stuff. I mean, we find out by insiders that, but like they don't release their brochure. We're on June 16th right now, and we still don't have pricing info for all the Freedom items, and we don't have a brochure for TNT or Freedom. So, anyways, that was a little bit of a rant. I got off topic. We got that Megastorm assortment. Again, it's amazing to think that in California, this box would probably be about $170. It looks to be probably about equivalent to the Perfect Show, which I think is somewhere around $170. I can't remember the price for that, but even at $60, I can't exactly say this Megastorm looks worth buying to me. There is one assortment that was in this store that I thought, okay, that's a good buy, but it wasn't this one. And then over to the right, we actually have these. I've never seen these. They're called like laser saber or something like that. I guess they're just big sparklers. They kind of look like bigger versions of the Beast Slayer. Maybe that's exactly what they are. I know they're called glow something. I just can't read that other part. I don't know why I said laser saber earlier. Brain fart or something. But $10 for one of these. I think that's overpriced even in Florida, to be honest with you. But in California, again, to be honest with you, I don't think this item would have that 150% increase that I've been talking about. It'd probably be about $15 for one of these in California. But it goes to show you that some stuff is increased a lot, some stuff is only a little, and it's odd to me because I want accountability. I just want it. I'm not going to scream for do this or do this, do that with your prices until I know exactly what is going on. And I highly doubt there is, but maybe there's an actual justification for it, and I'd like to know what exactly the justification is for it. I mean, I know fireworks are going to be more expensive in California because it goes through the nonprofit. That's totally fine by me. I'm happy to support the nonprofits. That's why I still buy these things, even though it bleeds me dry of money. That, and of course, I love them. So anyways, this is actually the assortment I mentioned that was worth the money. It was that other box that I didn't go over on the main part, but I took a close picture of this. You see, to tell you the truth, there's not much stuff in here that's any good, but for $19.99, I was very tempted. If I didn't have to, I said in the Discord, if I didn't have to go back through TSA, I would have grabbed this. Because it's just, game mode in there, that's a fountain you can get in California. And, it's a decent fountain. You got, for $20, to be honest with you, $20, you hand me a box of fireworks. I don't care if the things are really any good, to be honest with you. Because it's a box of fireworks. And I noticed that this actually has a pack of flashing fountains, which are kind of a hot commodity around here nowadays. I remember I used to hate these things as a kid, but I grew an appreciation for them, and now I want to get a little box for my collection. So again, if I hadn't have had to go through TSA on the way back, I would have grabbed this. This is, it's a nice little assortment in Florida. For $20, I can't complain about it. Is it worth $20? Probably not. But can I complain about getting a box of fireworks for $20? Absolutely not, as far as I'm concerned. But think about what this would cost in California. In California, this is probably equivalent to the Pyro Pack bag or the Big Value bag, which they're probably going to charge close to $50 for. And you can't justify that in California. There's just no chance. And then this was the last assortment I looked at. This one was $34.99, which for those of you keeping track in California anyways, this gets you one fiery frog from Phantom. Might be a better way to spend the money. Probably not. I wasn't too impressed with this one. It looks like the vast majority of this looks like box fountains to me. It does have a pack of flashing fountains, and it does have a couple of probably one or two tubers in it. I think the $20 one is better, but this is better than the $60 one. And in California, I think the equivalent to this is probably it's probably the 49er, which they charge almost $100 for, which is ridiculous. But the family pack, even if you say, oh, it's the family pack, that's still over $70 for, which I remember when that was $40. It makes me sad thinking about it. But I wasn't making this video to necessarily review what's there. I'm just making this video to kind of point out how the increase between the stores that TNT sells at and the stands here in California doesn't match completely. There's just no chance. As I've said, I know nonprofits get about 30% of it, so naturally you're going to have an increase there. That's just how that works, and I'm fine with that. But, and as I mentioned, there's also hidden costs in there that perhaps TNT doesn't have to pay to set this up at the Home Depot in, paying rent for the fireworks stand space. I'm not sure if TNT pays the rent or if the nonprofit has to pay it, or if it's split. I will wholeheartedly admit I don't know that. So I don't want to speak on it too much. But still, I have a hard time believing, a really, really hard time believing, that between the 30% the nonprofit gets, whatever rent the fireworks stand owner is being charged to set the booth up in somebody's parking lot or dirt lot, depending on where you are, for a week. It's June 28th to July 4th. It's 6 days. It's not even a week, unless you include the time that the booth has to sit there before they're selling, in which case, yeah, okay. But then you got, as I said, there's taxes, presumably, for California, because, not to get political or anything, but California has a tax on a bunch of stuff. I think California, if California could tax you for breathing, they probably would try to. But, that's how government works. I just can't see how all that put together somehow adds up to the over 150% increases some of this stuff has. Anyways, I think this video is probably getting way too long, and you guys are probably tired of hearing me talking. If you actually watched this far, literally me blabbing over a slideshow of pictures of fireworks out of state that I shot, I don't know what to do except to tell you thank you. Thank you for listening to me. So, a little bit of a rant. I'm going to make a rant about Phantom's flyer too. That came out while I was in Florida, and to say the least, I do have some stuff to say about it. And it's also a bit that's complaining about how stuff just doesn't quite make sense, similar to this video. Anyways, that's all. Goodbye. See you later. Thank you.